So, Ciera, tell us who you are and how do you think the person you've become motivates your purpose?
Okay. So I'm Ciera Stewart. I am a wife. I'm a mom of two. I am a therapist. I am a sister, a auntie, a friend, a counselor, all of the things. I'm a believer of Jesus Christ. So I have a lot of different roles that I play. But above all else, like I'm all of the things for whatever I need to be for whoever I need to be. And I think because of that, that directly lines into my purpose of who I am, because all of those different departments or compartments that I play in help me to be able to serve my clients on a day-to-day basis. So I work with women between the ages of 18 to 52 two-ish, around those boundaries and self-esteem and communication and relationships and things of that nature. And I really enjoy what I do. I really enjoy working with women, brown women to be specific.
Okay, because this is for the brown girl. Okay, so no, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that, with all of the hats that you and many other women wear, I think that a lot of times we get lost in like our titles. That I think for me, just listening to you, one thing that I want to do is understand like, yes, you are a mom. Yes, you are an educator. Yes, you are a business owner. You are all of these things, but like, you are still Ciera, and
Yep.
you have to like really connect with those parts of you that are the most intimate so that you can keep walking in your purpose. So
Absolutely.
that leads me right to our next question. And you kind of started on this, so I'll just let you elaborate, but share 3 interesting facts about your journey and how do you think you persevered through tough times?
3 interesting facts about my journey. Who? A whole lot of those. I think one interesting fact is that I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like my mom is an entrepreneur, my sister is an entrepreneur. I got I have 4 sisters in total, but all of us are working through our own entrepreneurial endeavors. And all of us are in different realms of entrepreneurship. Sometimes you think that because one person does this or another person does that, you have to follow down that way. And even though they've been helpful to me, we all have different purposes within entrepreneurship. So I think that's an interesting fact about me. So I'm very much a get it done type of person. Like I am type A lot of times when it comes to a lot of things. And I think that's what's really helped me to become successful in business, because I really, really care about customer service. I really, really care about the people I work with. I really, really care about making relationships that help people to be better. And so that's another interesting fact. And I would say the last thing I think that is, let me think. I think all of my jobs before entrepreneurship prepared me for entrepreneurship. That's one of the interesting facts too, because I used to work in juvenile court as a juvenile court counselor. And within that, I had to learn how to manage a caseload of at least 42 kids. And with managing that, I had to be very organized in making sure that I met the needs for all of the families. And I think that has directly rolled over into what I do within my profession today. I really, really care about making relationships that help people to be better. And so that's another interesting fact. And I would just say the last thing I think that is, let me think. I think all of my jobs before entrepreneurship prepared me for entrepreneurship. That's one of the interesting facts too, because I used to work in juvenile court as a juvenile court counselor. And within that, I had to learn how to manage a caseload of at least 42 kids. And with managing that, I had to be very organized in making sure that I met the needs for all of the families. And I think that has directly rolled over into what I do within my profession today, because it's a lot easier for me. Like, don't despise small beginnings, definitely for women, because sometimes you can be in a job that doesn't look like or doesn't feel like it's what you is going to help you to get to the next level, but there's always something there that you're supposed to be learning to help you to get to the next place. So that's another interesting fact. And
Did you persevere through the tough times, like just on your journey to entrepreneurship?
I kept going and I kept listening to what God was telling me. Even before I started my business, um, I was actually working for somebody else, and it was made to seem as if I wasn't going to be able to be successful in the business because I didn't have as much experience or I didn't have as many contacts. But because I followed what I was supposed to do, and listened to God when he told me what I was supposed to do, I'm able to be successful in what I'm doing right now. My business is going to be 2 in August, and the numbers speak for themselves, like of the consistency that I've stayed with. And so I think if you brand yourself well and you stay consistent and you don't quit when somebody doesn't like you or doesn't feel like you're doing something with the best intention, then you'll always win.
Right. I agree. That actually answered my next question. So I'm low key going to skip that one because my
Okay.
next question was, what are some challenges you face regarding entrepreneurship? But I kind of feel like that went right in hand with like how you overcame perseverance in your entrepreneurship. And I love like just me watching your journey and like me knowing you says forever, girl.
Yeah.
I just love to like see like how adamant you are about like really being in purpose and on purpose with you. That was our theme last year for the
Yeah.
brunch, like being in your purpose, being on purpose. And I think that when we all, as especially brown women, when we start to develop the mindset of, hey, like I'm actually on purpose.
Right.
You know, like, oh, I did that on purpose, or I'm here on purpose, or I started that business on purpose. And I think when we develop the on purpose mindset, the intentionality automatically aligns.
Realizing that it's not a competition. I think we've been able to maintain friends really over all of these years because we've believed in what each other wanted to bring out of what we have to do. You got your lane, I got my lane. We might be in the same lane at one point or another, but we have different niches of people that we're exposed to work with. So I think when we get out of that competition mind state and we start like, oh, I'm gonna send you to my sis over here because she do better with that than I do. Or when we get to that, that's when everybody's successful.
And that's when we all win. And that's honestly like what this brunch is about. Like a lot of people have been asking this year, oh my God, like the brunch has always been networking, but it's always been scholarship. So what's different this year? Well, it's a couple different things. Number one, I'm living in Washington, D.C. I'm not servicing the same like age group of kids. And so that doesn't negate that we are doing a scholarship because we do got a surprise for y'all on May 18th. But I did tell myself, well, you know, the thing about the Brown Girls Brunch is that I do want this event to keep growing. And the biggest part of the growth is connecting like-minded people because, like you said, taking the competition out of it. That's why I did categories of different stylists, different therapists, different this. Because yes, there are several of us in each community, but like, how can we help each other? And then how can we be resourceful to other people who are not in our specific industries as well? Question. This is a long one, so girl, you gotta listen up. So look, studies show that Black female brands and entrepreneurs have started companies at over 4 times the national overall population rate. However, only 3% of Black women-owned companies survive longer than 5 years. How would you say your business is on track to beating these odds? I'll say the second half because it's getting long.
That's a good question. I think it's a lot of compartments to that. One, I think that a lot of people start businesses when they aren't supposed to. Everything for me is about timing. And I fully believe that if you are starting a business, like you should be locked into what God is telling you about what to do before you just jump out there and do anything. Because if he's not backing you, it's going to be really hard for you to sustain yourself, regardless of if you got the plans, the all of the things, the resources and everything, it's still not going to work. We sometimes go into things with the best intentions, but we don't actually live out or keep going with what we started with it with. Like, for example, in my business, I've made a commitment to send birthday cards to all my clients every month to make sure that like this is something that I'm doing to show my appreciation. Not that I'm trying to get anything out of it, but there's certain stuff that we'll start out doing, then we'll cut corners and do, oh, I'm discounting this over here for this friend, or I'm discounting that over here for this friend, or I care about this person, so I'm gonna do this for them on the back end, but not really get paid for it. And at the end of the day, a business got to function like a business. We have to be paid for the services that we do in order for it to maintain itself. And so I think that's another part of it. Like we're usually the caretakers, the providers, the putting everything on our back for everybody. And then on the flip side, your business go out because you done gave out so many handouts to people. So I think boundaries in business are very important. And then the last thing I would say is the back office of a business. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can be good at something and not be a good entrepreneur. Like you have to set up. If I talked to somebody the other week and they're like, oh, I want to start this business. I want to become an esthetician. Okay, but do you got a business bank account? Do you got an LLC? Do you got an EIN number? Do you have a CPA that's dealing with your tax information? Like we don't have because there's a lot of safeguarding going on around
Mm-hmm.
business. And so we're not telling people like these are the things you need to know in order to start the business
Mm-hmm.
before you even use your talent. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think a lot of them are not lasting because we're not doing the back work that we're supposed to do.
I had a business bank account. I had an LLC. I had a talent. I had an idea. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that my names have kept changing over the years is because as I'm redefining my why and I'm redefining myself and I'm redefining what God is asking of me in my
Yeah.
time here, it's like, girl, it's the Brown Girls Collaborative. It's not the Black girls this. And here's the thing, it was all of those things, but you also have to consider the ramifications of like when you're trying to get funding and when you're
Yep.
trying to get other things and you're trying to utilize facilities. A lot of places blackballed me when I was the Black Girls Den under Black
Mm-hmm.
Therapy. And it wasn't because my stuff wasn't great and it wasn't because it wasn't put together. It was very
Right.
well curated. But when people don't feel included,
Absolutely.
and here's the problem with inclusivity. Sometimes, I'm going to say this now, it's never a problem when we are not at the table, but when others are not at the table with us.
That's real.
And so I realized, okay, well, the Brown Girls Collaborative still isn't far-fetched from the Black Girls Den.
Mm-hmm.
Nor is it far-fetched from like the why. Like God
Mm-hmm.
wants me to connect people.
Yeah.
To resources, to services. Because, like you said, if we were connected, then you would have the skills of knowing you need this, you need a CPA, you need that. I wish I had a CPA last year when I filed the business taxes. I owed the IRS $7,500. And what they do when I filed taxes this year, snatched it right on.
Bring up a really good point though, but because that's another reason that it could possibly fail is that we get too far off from what the original assignment was. Like I had to even go through a point in my business of where I had to stop feeling like I couldn't say who I want to work with because it would offend other people. I was like, no, I'm not called to these people. I can work with anybody, but if you want to see me in my best light, these are
Put me where I belong.
I work with. And everybody else does it. So what makes it any different? Because I'm a therapist, like even you have to think about hair. Like you got a loctician that specializes in locks. You got somebody that specializes in sew-ins. You got somebody that specializes in natural hair care. And it's the same thing as far as therapy goes. Like I specialize in women's issues for Black women.
Learn as a Black woman about boundaries, right? It was like, dang, Ciera, like you gotta stop wanting to. Cause Ciera, you know me off this camera. I done did a lot of inner work.
Yes,
and
you have.
part of that inner work came with like, hold on, what is making your attitude pop like that? Is it because are you upset with others or are you upset with yourself, not reaffirming yourself with your own boundaries and really just standing on it? And here's the thing. I found that when I just simply started saying, no, that doesn't work for me. No, I don't have an interest in that. And it may have been offensive to other people, but I have gotten to a place in my almost 32 years of I'm not filling up your cup while I'm sitting over here thirsty.
Absolutely.
I'm thirsty too. You know what I mean? So I need to have some left for me. And I don't think it's anything wrong with that. And I think that this is a great segue into like our next question, because I think that this is something that could have probably helped us when we met in sixth grade. I ain't gonna tell y'all. Look, what advice, Ciera, would you give to your 20-year younger self? Now, this is around about 6th, 7th grade when we was in school thinking, I want to do this. I know me, girl, 7th grade me, you couldn't tell me I wasn't gonna be one of the top hairstylists.
One of the biggest things I remember hearing about myself in like 7th grade was that I was so mean. Like people used to tell me that all the time.
Now, Ciera, you know you ain't taught. You ain't taught.
People used to tell me that all the time. And so I think I would tell myself that you're not mean, you're just misunderstood. because I think that a lot of what I was struggling with was behind having an absent father in the home and not realizing that that opened up the door for pride, which made me very angry. And so now knowing as a therapist how trauma works and how like the absence of a father can change the way you see yourself and also change the type of men that you deal with in your life. Like I thought I was really mean. Like I took on the persona that everybody was saying that I was. And I'm like, oh, since I'm mean, then it is what it is. But that wasn't what it was. It was hurt. And so I think I would tell my seventh grade self to heal, like to really deal with the things that you're hurt about and not channel it as anger like most women do, and actually figure out like you're not angry, like you're hurt because you're missing something. Right. And that's okay for you to be hurt, but how do you deal with the hurt?
Correct. And I think me as an educator now, I see that. I see so much of my younger self like you. Same with me. I didn't have like my dad in the house. My sister's dad was in the house, but like my dad wasn't.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'm in my house, I'm the oldest daughter. I'm the second oldest of my mom's children, but I'm the oldest daughter. So you already know what comes with that responsibility. So for me growing up, it's like, Ciera, why you always got an attitude? Why you always going off on people? Because in middle school now, I might say something to you if you come to me the wrong way. I just might have said something to you that I shouldn't have said. But I realized as a fully grown mother, what were some things that I was seeing or being said to me in my environment that like I was displacing those emotions onto other people. If something messed up happened to you, what did you do that could have prevented that? Right. If something positive happened to you, what did you do that made that happen? The math does not math without you. And it is once I took that on, okay, you didn't like how such and such did you. You didn't like how such and such treated you. But what did you do to make them think that was okay? Right.
Also, the lack of communication skills that we're taught throughout our lifestyles. Like if I'm growing up in a single mom household and my mom is like, she didn't want us to see her with nobody. So I don't know what it looks like for her to be in relationship. I don't know what effective communication or healthy communication looks like. I just know that anger is what everybody else portrays. And so that's what I do. And so I think that's another point. Like we have to be honest with ourselves around like, yeah, I suck at communication, but I can learn.
And I think a part of like that, and this is for anybody, male or female, we all in some way, shape, or form suck at communicating because we just simply did not have the best examples on how to communicate our feelings seriously, right? So now we are unlearning and relearning, and that hurts. That leads me into the next question, though. What advice would you give a young girl who is motivated to dream but doesn't have the resources to achieve? I'm going to start my thought on that question.
Okay.
And this is a piggyback off what we've already been sitting here talking about. For me, in my household, like my mom did not go to college. My mom graduated high school. She went to the Army, got pregnant with my older brother, and was like, bye. And her rule of thumb in my house growing up was you going to work or you going to school. If you want to work, that's fine, but you're not going to sit in here and not do nothing. But it never was a go to college, go to college, go to college. Growing up, I had two childhoods. I had the one that we all know, and then I had a very stellar one, you know, like, so for me, when I think about what advice would I give a young girl, it would be exactly what my mantra is now. Be as resourceful as you can. One thing that we do, we lean on the fact that we don't have resources, but at some point we got to learn how to learn on our own. We have to learn how to learn without people telling us that we need to know these things because everybody's a little inquisitive. I don't sit around and wait on answers, girl. I'm finna go to Google. I need to know right now. Whatever dream you have, it's not too far-fetched. You just have to know where to find the resources at. And like if you keep a network, even with your teachers, it's just like us saying, go get references for a job, go get references for college applications. That's the same thing as literally building your network. So if you can have the resources that are necessary to you to be successful, achievement is always at the next door, in my mind.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of what you said is within the wheelhouse of what I'm thinking. And two, I wish I would have increased my relationship with God, like for myself a little earlier. Because I think if I would have done it earlier, I would have been able to like tap into and hear a little clearer. So I didn't have to go through all of these hoops and lumps and all of these things, which they all make sense when you have to go through it, because everything works together for the good of us that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And at the same time, it will help to not have to go through, you don't have to go through struggle to get to the point to where you want to go or to get to who you want to be. But also how willing are you to do the work? How willing are you to heal yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically? Like, what are you actually doing within those things to do that? And you don't have to be a grown adult to work through healing. Like y'all in relationships at 12, at the, even earlier than that, possibly. So there's always somebody that you can find, like you're saying, T. We had teachers that I still have contact with this day.
To this
Like,
day.
do me a letter of recommendation. Can you read over my letter of interest?
To
Like,
this
they
day.
all still friends on Facebook. Like, I love what you're doing. I love seeing what's going on with you. And so I think to say that you don't have resources is a cop out, because we all have somebody that's able to help us, even if it's not your family. And we have to get out of that mind frame of like, it got to be my family that's supporting me, or it got to be my family that's on my team. Because sometimes it's not your family, and that's okay. They can be family. So that's what I think. That's what I would say. How hard are you willing to do the work to actually be who you want to be, and also the change that you want to see is in
Starts
you.
within. It starts within. Listen, one of the things I tell my students, I know you came here on the struggle bus this morning, honey, but the achievement bus was the next 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
Don't be in a rush all the time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to slow down and reground yourself. We don't always got to catch the struggle bus. Slow down. Like, we to be in competition. But if you
Absolutely.
just slow down, like I tell my students, you want to know why Miss Jones can do what she do? Because I don't see no traffic in my lane. Miss Jones stay in her lane. And that's why either you mad or you trying to cross over here too. But one thing I'm not doing is I'm not trying to be in your lane. I never have been like that. I've never been the type that wants to be in other people's lanes. I'm going to ask these last couple of questions and you can just wrap them up.
Okay.
What does it mean to you to be a brown girl? And as a brown girl in your industry, what stigmas have you overcome? And if there was anything you could change about the views of Black women, what would it be and why?
That's real loaded.
Those was 3 with a girl. That was 7, 8, and 9 put together, girl.
Geesh. What does it mean to be a brown girl? For me, it means Black girl magic. Like, I love being a brown girl. I love who I am, who I network with, like who I connect with. So I think for me, being a brown girl means empowerment. It means safety. It means like all of the things that you can think of. I'm thinking cocoa butter, like all of the stuff that just everything all encompassed around hair, around mental health, around everything. What's the other question you asked me? Because
if there were any stigmas you can change as a brown girl, like what stigmas would you change about us, especially as it pertains to being
kind of what we already talked about around the angry Black girl. Like, that's most Black women are not just angry, they're hurt. And anger is usually the second emotion, not the first. So hurt is always underneath anger. And looking at people more so from a lens of maybe there's something under there that's got them looking like that, versus you just believing that people are angry or that they just have an attitude, because there's always something underneath that. So that's one of the stigmas I would definitely try to rid.
What are you looking forward to in terms of connections and overall experience at the Brown Girls Brunch this year?
I forgot to say this for me, for brown girl. Being a brown girl for me also means defying the odds. So I definitely wanted to add that on there. But I'm looking forward to everybody in they spring colors with their sneakers. And I'm also looking
Don't y'all come in there with your church dress on and your raccoon print, okay? Don't do that.
I'm looking forward to the networking with all the Black women so I can get me some resources to pass out to my clients. And I'm looking forward to the food, because the food always good.
Well, thank you so much again for taking this time with me. I am so excited about your Her Story segment. Thank you again, and I will be texting you soon.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.